Now, this all began because families were coming forward saying the Department of Human Services in Oklahoma was not acting on and even lying about crimes against children. Now, I spoke with the chair of the committee who began this order. He told me this is all about protecting Oklahoman children and holding the departments like DHS accountable.
And that we have the proper signatures, that we're standing in the statute that I think gives us that authority to order an investigation.
State Representative J.J. Humphrey is the chair of the House Committee of Criminal Justice. He's one of several who believe DHS and other departments have lied and covered up crimes against children in Oklahoma.
I think we have overwhelming evidence that would support an investigation. Again, we're not saying that we have absolute 100% proof, but if you would go back and watch the hearing that we held, there in the Criminal Justice and Corrections Committee, we had an emergency hearing. And, if you went back and looked at that, watched that, I think that we have more than sufficient, absolute sufficient to have grounds to warrant an investigation.
The investigative order is a 4-page request from the committee to the State Bureau of Investigation. It lists 2 items that the representatives called critical and urgent matters. The first is an investigation into detention and care facilities for the possible abuse of children and disabled adults. It lists the Department of Human Services, the Office of Juvenile Affairs, and the Oklahoma Commission for Children and Youth. It also lists 3 juvenile detention facilities, one in Norman, in Enid, and the Family Center for Juvenile Justice in Tulsa.
And this is not one case. We're getting hundreds of cases talking about our system, not just DHS, but the court system, the guardian ad litem system, all of these cabals that just seem to be willing to remove kids and put kids in harm's way. Our system seems to be doing much worse for children in certain cases.
The second is an investigation into DHS, Child Welfare, and Child Protective Services on behalf of 6 families who all claim major misconduct by DHS.
It is time that these agencies answer to people, answer to the government as they're supposed to. They're unelected bureaucrats. Anyone that sees evidence of child abuse, child sexual abuse, physical abuse, and does nothing, that's disturbing.
If investigated, Humphrey believes enough will be found to involve the FBI.
I believe we are going to see human rights, civil rights violations, and I think that would warrant them calling in the FBI.
Now, Humphrey says there is a need for these departments like DHS and OCCY, but they need to be held accountable and follow state law. Once this investigative order was sent, I reached out to 2 of the families involved. I'm working on what they had to say about it, and I'll have that ready for you on Fox 23 News at 6. Live in studio, covering news that matters, Devin Lyon, Fox 23 News.
On the other side of this, we received a statement from DHS on this investigation. It reads, quote, Oklahoma Human Services is an advocate for transparency and will fully cooperate with any investigation into the agency. You can find statements from some of the other parties involved inside this story on fox23.com.
More details. You heard from Devin that the Tulsa County Juvenile Justice Center is roped in to this investigation.
We've brought you coverage of the fallout since the arrest of 2 former detention officers for multiple sexual abuse allegations. We've also told you about the multiple changes the county has made since taking the facility over from OJA earlier this year.
The reason the Juvenile Center is being tied to this investigation stems from a large independent study from a nonprofit group of attorneys called the Oklahoma Appleseed Center for Law and Justice. They called for the temporary closure of the facility to allow for the OSBI to have time to investigate.
We are asking for an independent investigation and for the facility to be closed until people are properly trained and it's fully staffed. We're asking for everyone who oversaw the abuse and the neglect to be terminated. And I'll end with this. Regardless of what brought these children to this detention facility, we have a duty as leaders in any community to protect children.
In response, Tulsa County did send us a statement saying they are taking every measure to be as transparent as possible and will cooperate with any investigation done on the juvenile center.
On Saturday, October 5th, there's a rally at the Oklahoma State Capitol organized by the group Oklahomans for Children's Rights, calling for accountability in Oklahoma's DHS. The rally is happening at 10 a.m. You don't have to register to attend. DHS says every case is handled differently with multiple people in offices weighing in, and by law, matters involving juveniles are kept confidential.